Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hey, how you doing on this bright and beautiful Monday morning? Welcome to Money Monday. I know. Hey, hope you have yourself a tall one like I do. I hope that everybody is doing well. I am so totally convinced that life is truly what you make of it. And it's all about how you look at things. Now, of course, we all know the adage, half a cup of water full, half a cup of water empty. In my case, I'll say half a cup of Joe full, half a cup of Joe empty. Well, listen, maybe Joe is not your cup of tea. Just saying. Hey, let's just jump right into this today. The reason why I'm mentioning that it's all about how you look at it, for example, when it comes to saving, okay? Now, we use this terminology a lot, emergency fund. Well, it has sort of like a scary sound, and it induces a little bit of panic and a little bit of stress. Well, I guess perhaps because emergencies can be a little stressful. Am I right or am I right? But you know what? Why don't we approach funding in a different terminology? For example, I'll give you a different example. I don't like to use the word diet. And in fact, if you ever go back to my ancient history first video on YouTube, well, yeah, okay. It started off as a diet channel. But in that very first video, you hear me goofballing about, it really wasn't a goofball, I really meant it. I don't like the word diet. I rather use the word eating plan. And oftentimes we also, when it comes to financials, we use the terminology budget, okay? And it's fast, it's simple, it's easy, we're familiar with it. But sometimes I rather use the terminology spending plan, because after all, these things are planned, okay? And it's all how you look at it. I mean, when you think of spending plan, it just has more, I don't know, a little bit of a leniency to it, a little bit of a free sound to it. So let's revert back now to the terminology emergency fund. I don't know. I just came up with this other idea recently that we should and could rename funds, instead of emergency funds, why don't we consider it, calling it peace of mind fund? Because after all, if you know that money is there, you do have the peace of mind to not necessarily have to tap on a credit card. I'm not saying it's so horrible if you are a responsible user of a credit card, because credit cards are basically just a handy way of keeping a short-term loan. And if you are that kind of person that is responsible and does the right thing and pays your bills on time, and I mean, not saying that you're a bad person if once in a while you can't do it, because life does happen beyond our control. I'm not saying that, okay? But better than all of that, why not consider calling this thing a peace of mind fund? Okay. Now, how can you get yourself to that first $1,000 of peace of mind? Well, I just figured something out. If you, of course, try to implement by saving $100 a month, then before you know it, you will have that $1,000 goal. In fact, you'll have a $1,200 goal if you do this for a year. Well, how can you get to save that $100 a month? Okay. First, we're going to talk about doing this in the grocery store. I can get you $40 a month towards that $100 a month goal by simple tips at the grocery store by, on purpose, saving $10 a week. Okay. So therefore, you can try to do this, okay? Start by trying to reduce your weekly trip to the grocery store by $10 each haul. And you will definitely have saved $40 every single month. And here are a few ways that you could save that $10 each and every haul. Okay. Now, number one, to me, the most expensive protein at the market, of course, could be and is, in all probability, meat. So get around that by buying cheaper cuts of meat, more chicken. Sometimes you could get good deals on fish. Have canned fish. Have canned proteins. Work with frankfurters. Take a break from meat. Just saying. You're not going to collapse if you don't have meat every single night. Find another substitute, work with dairy, or go on a plant-based diet, a plant-based eating plan, okay? Now, another thing, Yesterday, I love to have pasta on Sundays, but because I do watch my carbs, I am not on a keto plan. I am not on any other plan other than just mindful eating, okay? I don't yo-yo, I'm just me, okay? Just say I'm definitely a lot thinner than, let's say, 10 years back. That I can even prove. But that's not the idea of this video today. Yesterday, I took actually literally like a handful of pasta, okay? But you know what the star of the show was? I introduced green beans into that, okay? The green beans were more prevalent than pasta. And this also adds up to food savings, not to mention a healthier option. So I integrated that together, more vegetables, less carbs, this kind of thing works for me, okay? You can opt, for example, let's say on any given night, to do breakfast for dinner. I can't tell you how many times have I brought up to people in general conversations, in casual talk, oh, you know what, I didn't feel like really cooking much tonight, but I had breakfast for dinner. Every single one of them said, yeah, I love that. Well, if you are making a mindful goal, okay, towards that peace of mind fund, think about how inexpensive breakfast foods are. I mean, egg for egg. I mean, generally speaking, an egg today costs about 20 cents per egg. If you're going to eat two, that's a whopping 40 cents. Think you could handle it? I hope you could, because that would be really, really good. So have your eggs and whatever else you normally would eat for breakfast and swap it out at dinner time, okay? Because breakfast foods are definitely less expensive and usually definitely a time saver to boot. If you go into the grocery store, buy fruit that doesn't go bad rapidly, okay? Fruits that tend to go bad rapidly, stick to things, like apples and probably oranges, things to that effect that do not go bad rapidly. And while you're there, pick up less than ripe bananas so that you have them on your counter shelf a little bit longer than you normally would. And by the way, just a general thing to mention, getting back to sandwiches for a second, listen to this recipe. I really, really love it. If you work with very thin bread, for example, it doesn't have to be very thin. I'm just saying, okay? Very thin bread, one slice of Munster cheese, one slice of thinly cut deli thin ham, and then you use nonstick spray in your pan. I'm telling you, you grill that thing up, it is a nice instant panini. No panini maker necessary. It's really, really quite good. And by the way, it is also helpful to become a bit of a bean counter, okay? Which I have mentioned in prior videos in the past. So become a bit of a bean counter. For example, did you know that on the average loaf of bread, sliced bread, that there are 16 slices per loaf, okay? Back in the day, I'm almost positive it used to be 20. Somehow 4 slices snuck out of there. So if you think about it, if you live by yourself, for example, 16 slices of bread in a loaf means that you get to make 8 sandwiches out of that. That's not a bad deal for one loaf of bread. I'd say that's a pretty actually good deal, or that means 16 slices of toast. Bean counter, figure out what you actually use during the week ahead of time, and that way you have a little more than enough. Maybe one loaf is not enough for your needs. Maybe you'd rather feel better to get the 2 loaves, okay? But if you use your bread slowly, don't ever have bread waste. That's ridiculous. So what you need to do is freeze the rest and then, either make breadcrumbs with it or future bread, French toast, things like that. You can do it. Okay. So that's interesting, though, about the 16 slices. Now, another thing, part of being a bean counter, this is why I like things that you can count. Maybe it's an OCD of mine. But, like, for example, get those packages, those pre-packages of cheese, like those 24 slices that are individually wrapped up, okay? I mean, that's a laster. That really takes a long time for that to go bad. So you get a lot of different uses out of, let's say, for example, American cheese. You can make cheese omelets. That's a very inexpensive meal. grilled cheese. You can use that. It melts down very nicely for mac and cheese. I mean, you see the route that I'm going with this, okay? So really, the truth of the matter is, if you find creative ways, now by saving $10 a week at the grocery store, you're guaranteed that you could put away $40 a month towards your emergency fund. And if you bump that up a little bit higher to $15 a week, you see where I'm going with this? That's $60 a month saved towards your emergency fund. Okay? Takes a little bit of planning. Check your local listings for manager specials and all that kind of stuff. Hey, listen, every little bit counts. And if you give yourself that opportunity for the no longer emergency fund, but for the peace of mind fund, then you're that much ahead of the game. There you go. Well, listen, thank you so much for listening. That's it for today's Money Monday. Come back tomorrow for Practical Video Tuesday, and I really do appreciate your time. Listen, get out there, enjoy this wonderful day. If you can't get out there, enjoy your wonderful day where you're at, and don't forget to share a smile with someone else. You never know, the day may come when you can really use a smile on a rainy day. Have a great day, and of course, I'm going to end this with a little music. Have a great day, everybody.